Falcon is in startup.
We've gone to startup. Flight computers on both stages are now running the Falcon 9 countdown. Next event, launch directors go.
LD, go for launch.
You've heard it. Launch directors given the go. Everything continues to look good. T-minus 36 seconds and counting. All systems are go for the launch of Falcon 9 with Turksat 5B.
T-minus 30 seconds. T-minus 15 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. And liftoff.
Pitching downrange.
Stage 1 chamber pressure is nominal.
T plus 40 seconds, Falcon 9 has successfully lifted off from Slick 40 at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station, carrying the Turksat 5B satellite to geosynchronous transfer orbit. We've throttled down in preparation for maximum dynamic pressure. We're in the throttle bucket. Good views from the SpaceX ground cameras following the first stage.
Falcon is supersonic.
We've gone supersonic. The Merlin engines are back up to full power.
Max Q.
And we're through the period of maximum dynamic pressure. Everything continues to look good. Trajectory is nominal. Avionics report systems are nominal. "100 seconds into flight coming up in just under a minute. We're going to have main engine cutoff, where we shut off the 9 Merlin 1D engines. We'll separate the stages, and then the second stage engine will ignite at about the 2-minute and 44-second mark.
MVAC is chilling in.
The MVAC-D engine chill-in call-out. We've begun putting a little bit of liquid oxygen through the turbopump to get it cold in preparation for second stage ignition. That's coming up in just about 34 seconds from now. First stage is coming up on 4 Gs acceleration, and we're going to begin throttling down to hold 4 Gs. Getting ready for main engine cutoff.
First stage engine cutoff.
Stage separation confirmed.
MVAC ignition.
We've got successful stage separation. The second stage now under power of the single Merlin vacuum engine. We'll be coming up on fairing deploy in a little under 30 seconds. Views of the titanium grid fins beginning to deploy on the left as we see the lights of Florida in the background as we head east, due east from the Cape into our transfer orbit parking orbit. We're getting ready for the camera on second stage to switch forward to look at the spacecraft and the payload fairing for fairing deploy.
Fairing separation confirmed.
And there you see, the 2 fairing halves have separated, falling away from the vehicle. We're now exposing the Turksat 5B satellite to outer space. As a reminder, we will be attempting to retrieve these 2 fairing halves with the help of our recovery vessel, Bob. Now, as mentioned previously, these 2 fairing halves supported the GPS-3 Space Vehicle 5 mission in June of this year. But right now, we're at T plus 4 minutes and counting, everything continues to go well for the Falcon 9 mission, carrying Turksat 5B into the parking orbit.
As John mentioned, it's T plus 4 minutes and now 20 seconds into today's mission. We're currently in the first of 2 planned MVAC burns for satellite deployment. At T plus 6 minutes and 27 seconds, you should see on your screen the first stage is entry burn, a burn that lasts 24 seconds. For the entry burn, we relight the center engine E9, and then partway through, we relight E1 and E5 engines. So we have a total of 3 M1D engines helping to slow down the vehicle as it passes through the Earth's atmosphere. You'll see this exhaust start as a circular plume at the bottom from the single engine, then shape into a longer, narrower plume when the other two engines ignite. Reusability is a key to lowering the cost of spaceflight, which enables more investments in critical scientific research. The Falcon 9, that first stage that is supporting today's mission, will perform this entry burn for the 3rd time, having previously supported both the CRS-22 resupply flight to the ISS and the Crew 3 launch just last month. Great view on the right-hand side of the MVAC nozzle. The Merlins on the first stage with their short nozzles, are optimized for sea level. These achieve around 190,000 pounds of thrust during ascent and descent, while the MVAC engine with its extended nozzle is optimized for 220,000 pounds of thrust in vacuum. Now we're about 45 seconds away from the entry burn on the first stage. If you're just joining us, we had a successful launch from Slick 40 at Cape Canaveral, and we're currently watching the second stage on the right-hand side of your screen enter orbit. With the left-hand side of your screen, the first stage is heading back to our drone ship in the Atlantic, a short fall of gravitas. Let's watch out for that entry burn begin in just a moment.
Stage 1 FTS is saved.
Stage 1 entry startup.
Really bright from that entry burn start.
Stage 1 entry burn shutdown.
And there it looks like we've had a successful entry burn shutdown. If you noticed on the launch pad, the Falcon 9, when the Falcon 9 makes its way back to Earth, you may notice some different soot markings on the outer side, or the outer edges of the rocket. If you ever wondered how those soot markings are formed, it's because the soot is generated when the carbon-based rocket-grade kerosene RP1 burns. Since reentry occurs engines first, the booster flies through its own plume, which deposits the soot on the rocket, and you can see some of those sparks and soot flying up at the camera there on the left-hand side.
Terminal guidance.
Again, as a quick recap, we had a successful liftoff at 10:58 p.m. from Slick 40 at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida. A successful separation of the first and second stages. The first stage is on its way back to our drone ship, a short fall of gravitas in the Atlantic Ocean.
Stage 2 FTS is saved.
And the second stage is heading to its initial orbital insertion with the Turksat 5B satellite. We're coming up on a couple events, SECO 1 and landing burn.
MVAC engine cutoff.
Stage 1 landing burn.
Had a successful second engine cutoff, and
Nominal orbit
the
insertion.
landing burn has just started. And we just heard good orbit. Confirmed a nominal orbital insertion. We're now
Stage
waiting
1
on our
landing
Falcon
leg
to
deploy.
land on drone ship, a short fall of gravitas.
Stage 1 landing confirmed.
And there you have it. That's SpaceX's 99th successful booster landing, as well as SpaceX's 78th mission flying a refuel and booster. Our mission isn't over just yet. The second stage is now embarking on its coast phase between the first and second burns of the MVAC-D engine. After the coast phase, we will light the MVAC engine for a second time, a little bit after T plus 26 minutes.
Expected loss of signal, Cape.
We'll see you back here in about 20 minutes at T plus 26 minutes. In the meantime, enjoy some space tunes.